Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Facts. And today I have an amazing guest for all of you. Well, his name is Noel Durity. Did I say your name right? I'm very bad with pronouncing, so just to make sure.
And you did it better than most people.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Well, what's special about this guy is that he went on Shark Tank last year and he actually got a deal with the shark Daymond John and Mark Cuban. So I know, that's amazing. Well, I let him introduce himself to all of you and you can learn more about him. So Noel, why don't you tell my audience a bit about you and what do you do?
So as David mentioned, my name is Noel. I've been an entrepreneur probably since I was like 13 years old. And just it's really more about the journey. I started selling like candy door to door. Then, in my adult years, I was a server. Did that for about 3 years, saved a pretty penny, then got into real estate, then got into mortgages, then opened up my own brokerage. And as I started making more money, I was trying to figure out a way to do my hair. And I was walking around using a tennis racket for about 3 years. And went to Brazil, came back, figured like, you know what, I got to be able to shrink it. I shrank it and, turned that into a business. And here I am. Ended up getting a deal, went on Shark Tank because I needed some money and pitched my idea, had some back and forth with the Sharks and ended up closing Mark or Daymond. Which the funny thing is, when I went in there, I knew Lori, I knew Mr. Wonderful, and I knew Robert wasn't going to go for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I want Mark or I want Daymond. And the fact that I got both was like, had to take the moment in.
That's amazing. Okay, so what gave you the idea of creating the product?
Like I said earlier, I was using a tennis racket on my head, like an actual tennis racket.
Wow, really?
My hair, and just to give your audience some context. African American hair, it naturally stays up. So like if I jump into a pool of water, it does not go below my face. It stays right here. So if you look at anybody on television or just around, just in your city, most of us just keep our hair short because it's a lot easier for us to wake up and go. If it's long or any like this length, we have really one of like 4 options: cornrows, braids, an afro, or we have to put a texturizer in our hair to kind of make it more curly. And in my profession at the time, mortgages, braids, dreadlocks, cornrows, not really quote unquote an acceptable hairstyle for that profession. So I was trying to figure out a way to do my hair naturally, and I came across a tennis racket.
Okay, I see. So how do you actually get started with the product? I'm sure like you have to do some research and then manufacture it. I'm sure there's challenges that you face along the way, right? It wasn't an easy road.
And people say that, but like I think with anything comes practice, right? Like if you never played basketball, you can go out to a basketball court and practice your butt off and you will have a better jump shot, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to make it into the NBA, but it means that you have some type of technical form. Because I've been challenging myself or my brain or this path of an entrepreneur since I was like 13. The hardest part is just doing it, right? You know what? I think I have, stay right there. All right, I do have it. Cool. So the first twisted up comb ever created was this big junk right here.
Wow.
As far as challenges, like to point your question, it's just about just starting. I don't really think I had that much of a challenge just because of Google and YouTube. So literally my thought process was, I got back from Brazil. It's really hard to travel with a tennis racket. So when I came back from Brazil, I was like, I want to shrink it. Well, how do you shrink a tennis racket? Because a small one didn't exist. So I went to Google and I kept on typing like shrinking things and yada, yada, yada. I came across 3D printing. So then I went back to Google and I was like, what do you need for 3D printing? And I came across that you need a CAD drawing. So then I went back to Google again. Type, what is a CAD drawing? And you need a photo, like you need an actual illustration. So I called my boy Joel because I can't draw. He sent over an image, and then I went on Craigslist. I found a CAD drawer, and I sent him the image. We went back and forth, and then he gave me a digital image. And then I went back to Google, and I typed in 3D print shops near me. And I went to a 3D print shop, and this was my first 3D print. So then I took it to a tennis shop, and I got it hand shrunk.
Wow.
Right? So then I took this to a barber. It worked. He was like, you gotta, figure out how to scale it. So then the second prototype was this bad boy right here, a smaller version.
Yep.
Right? Still hand strung. We did about 3,000 of these. And as we started doing trade shows, what happened was that I could not scale fast enough. I couldn't hand string combs fast enough to fulfill the order. So the biggest challenge for me was, how do I replicate this tension, right? And still get the same result. And that was a nightmare. That took me about 2 weeks to solve. I was on the computer every single day. I couldn't figure it out. I was playing around with plastic, but as you can tell, plastic breaks. So it wasn't working out for me. And then I ended up going to a Korean barbecue grill. And I looked in the middle of the grill, and it looked like my mesh, but it was stainless steel. So I took a photo of it, and I sent it to my manufacturer, and then now we have the stainless steel model. And once we figured out that problem, we were able to scale. I got my cost down, and
that's amazing.
So I would tell anybody that's watching, if you're trying to create something, just start. Go on Google. Start. Go on Google. Go on YouTube. And there's a limited amount of resources you can find.
Yes. No, I totally agree with you. A lot of my audience, like I almost get a message every day. They say, I want to start a business, but how do I start? I don't know what to do. But my answer almost every single time would be Google. Like every single thing you want to know, need to know is on Google, right? You can, search whatever you want on Google. So I love that story so much. Okay, so from there, you got your product, you start making sales. What made you decide that you need to go on Shark Tank? Why did you decide to go on Shark Tank?
So truth be told, I never really wanted to go on Shark Tank because I never really wanted to make Twisted Up like a business. I wasn't going to leave a 6-figure job, which was my brokerage, to start a business where I thought it was a niche. It is a product only for African Americans, not just African Americans, but African Americans with hair. And not just African Americans with hair, but African Americans with hair that want to wear their hair this way. My niche is like that tiny, right? So January through April of 2017, I did 4 trade shows, and I sold out all 4 times. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna make this a full-fledged business. As we started moving units, the following year, I started fooling around with Instagram and Facebook advertising. And again, my market is this tiny. The fact that I can target African Americans who like natural hair, want to twist their hair, is incredible. And then I started thinking how to expand, right? So who services this market? You have barbers and you have hair professionals, right? Because they go to the barbershop and they have to have a tool to twist their hair. So now my market got a little bit bigger, right? And then I was like, well, who services the barbers and hairstylists? You have the beauty supply stores. So now my market got a little bit bigger. And I was like, well, who services the beauty supply stores? You have the redistributors. So I feel like as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out, if you have a very large market, how to shrink it. And if you have a very tiny market, how to expand it. Once I figured this out in the beginning of 2018, my sales were like out of this. I did about $400,000 in 4 months. And then China shut down. So everything was being made in the United States except for the stainless steel mesh. It was coming from China. And because where I was sourcing it, when you do this, there's certain areas in China that has pollution regulations. Because it was getting to a point where the pollution was getting so bad, they shut down manufacturing for 4 or 5 months. So from the month of May to the month of August, I had no inventory. So I needed to figure out how to solve this. I felt that this problem was bigger than me, and I wanted to get some resources. So I went on Shark Tank hoping to get some money because there was a manufacturer out here that can give me the same price from China, but I had to buy like $100,000 worth of messages up front, which I don't have $100,000. So we started to go on Shark Tank, and I pitched my idea, and I was grateful enough to get a deal.
That's awesome. What was the audition was like? I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, okay, before you get on a show, and it's not easy to get on a show. I heard the statistic is really, really low. It's even harder than going to Harvard, I think. What was
I mean, I don't know if it's hard to get into Harvard, but there's about 40,000 people that they see.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 40,000 people, you get to have 200 pitches. And out of those 200 pitches, only about 120 air, because the can't air are the ones that get a deal, right? So it's about 120 people out of 40,000. Mm-hmm. The process for me, I got rejected 3 times. So it wasn't until the 4th audition that they actually put me through the process. There's not much that I can talk about because I signed like an NDA or something like that. But they have live auditions, and then you have one when you can send a tape in via YouTube to them. And then once you go through that process, they keep you in the dark, David. Like, you don't know when you're going to air until like 2 weeks. So I got the deal in July of 2018, right? Yeah. I did not know that I was going to air until January of 2019. But I already had the deal. The deal was closed. Money hit my account. I was operating, right? But I didn't air until 2018 or 2019, and I didn't go until 2 weeks prior.
I see. So, but there's another example of persistent right there. You mentioned that you failed 3 times before you get accepted, right? So another great example, stay persistent, right?
If you're going to be an entrepreneur, I honestly believe, and this is just my opinion. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you come from like nothing, you're going to be a better entrepreneur, just because we are accustomed to dealing with challenges, right? Like if you are a minority, or if you don't come from much, you're from like 12. You've been telling no, you can't have this, we can't afford it. You can't have this because such and such. So your brain is accustomed to hearing this word and accustomed to trying to figure out how to navigate to get what you want, right? Because if you come from money, can I have this? Yes. Can I have this? Yes. You don't really know how to deal with that challenges. So by the time I'm like a full-fledged adult and I'm hearing the word no, it doesn't affect me. I just say, okay, well, it's no today, but I'm going to come back and ask you tomorrow.
I agree.
So, you know, it's just a bump in the road. The only reason why you're telling me no is one of 3 things. Like, you don't trust me, you believe it's a scam, or you just don't know more about it. So as long as that takes, and that may take you a month to figure it out, a year to figure it out, but you're going to be my customer.
I love that. That's amazing. That's like the bomb of value right there. Like, that's amazing. Okay, so and then when you get accepted onto Shark Tank, were you excited, and how do you prepare for that pitch?
I wasn't really excited because nothing happens. I still don't know if I'm airing. I still don't know if I'm pitching. Right? All I know is that, okay, I've been moved on. Out of the 40,000, I'm the one of 200. I still don't know if I'm going to air. I still don't know if I'm going to talk to the Sharks. Like, the goal is not to win, and the goal is not to make playoffs. It's to win the NBA championship, right? So just because I make playoffs doesn't mean I'm excited. So you have a point of contact, a person that is walking you through the auditions, what the people are looking for. So you work with them to build this pitch, and you rehearse, and then you pitch it in front of like a mock analyst, and then they let you know if you're going to actually pitch in front of the Sharks. And yeah, that's pretty much how that works out. The only time that I really got emotional was after I pitched and they said yes. I got a little bit choked up, but even when they say yes, they tell you that it doesn't mean anything because they have to do the due diligence. They have to go through and, make sure that all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. So then when the money hit my account, then I cried. Because then it was official. Like, there's no turning back. We signed papers, money hit my account. My name will be forever engraved with Shark Tank ABC, and that I took an idea from my head and I made it into this national craze. And as an entrepreneur, my name is next to Mark Cuban and Daymond John.
Hey, what else can you ask for?
For any sort of, as us, this is like us getting straight A's. If you're an entrepreneur, right? This is like you getting like accepted to like Harvard or something. It's my name is tied to one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time, Mark Cuban, and one of the greatest entrepreneurs in my culture, which is Daymond John. For me, I can die now and just be happy.
That's definitely a big thing right there. So can you give us some tips about pitching, like how you construct your pitch? Is there anything special or any format to it, or you pretty much just talk about your business?
I think everything is structured based on the audience, the group, right? So for me, when I was going through constructing this pitch, I understood that it had nothing to do with my pitch. This pitch is not for the Sharks. If I want to air, I have to be entertaining. Because this is a TV show first, an investment show second. So I constructed my pitch around to be entertaining because I wanted to air. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever saw the pitch, but I'm not going to walk into a boardroom that's not going to be televised and sing and dance. I just did that for television purposes, right? So I think it's very, very important for you to understand the context of who you're pitching and the environment of what you're pitching. And once you understand that, then go ahead and pitch. And it's the same thing with like building a business, right? You have a product that you're selling. I'm going to have a different ad group, right? I'm going to have an ad for a specific age group from 18 to 24. I'm not going to show that same ad to people above 50, to people around 40, right? So pitching, creating an ad, it's the same thing. You have to know your audience and you have to know how they receive information and then construct the pitch in that way or construct an ad in that way.
Yep, that's very true. Yeah, I looked up the pitch yesterday to watch it to make sure that I know how to ask you questions. So yeah, it was a great pitch. It was amazing. I love it. That was great.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so now what's the next step for your company?
So currently, we have grown by 300% every single year. So the first year we did about 115. Second year we did about 450,000. This year we're on track to do about 1.2, 1.3 million.
Nice.
So the following year, it's how do you go from 1.2, 1.3 to 3-4 million, right? So you got to get into places where you're not. So I'm focusing on releasing new combs because obviously when you have a focus group, they let you know what you need, what they want, what they expect. So in 2020, we have 2 new combs coming out. We're trying to get into, retail stores, work out a licensing agreement with some of the top, name brands in the clipper industry, and go from there.
Awesome. Okay, from what I recall is that Daymond make you an offer to license your product. Correct? Yeah. Correct. So under that contingency, and Mark Cuban will give you the deal regardless of your license or not. So did both of them join the deal or only Mark Cuban?
So at the end, what happened or what transpired was that I got the deal from Daymond first. We had some back and forth. Keep in mind that we're in there for about an hour. And they cut it down for like 10 minutes. So there's a lot of context that the audience doesn't get to see, right? So Daymond and I went back and forth with that contingency. Then Mark whispered something in Daymond's ear. They went back and forth, and then they came in the deal together. So moving forward, they are partnered together, and we're just growing the company, regardless of a licensing deal or not.
That's awesome. So how has the support been since you got the deal? Have you been talking to them on a weekly or monthly basis?
So they make it a point to check in
Hmm.
at least once a month. Like they actually come in, send an email, and say what's up. Obviously, they have so many companies that they run,
Yep.
so this is a business. So
Yep.
they have a point of contacts, right? You have a main person that you speak to that's on their team.
Hmm.
I can reach out to them anytime I need to. If I feel I want to get some answers or some questions or pick their brains.
Yep.
Um, but it's amazing how information can change your business, right? Like I was running a business, but there's a way to structure, like to have a good infrastructure
Yep.
in place. Um, I can't put a price on that. It just makes everything run smoothly. And I think the biggest thing with the partnership that I got from Mark and Daymond is that infrastructure. It's, having the fulfillment center, figuring out, when your T's need to be crossed, where your I's need to be dotted, just running a business from a business standpoint or an online e-commerce business, setting up SEO, setting up these automatic emails that go out, how to capture, how to figure out, when you have an abandoned cart, how to get that person back in the shop, like that. And all this is automated.
Hmm.
So whether I'm doing it or not, sleeping or in Australia, this is all automated on the back end of my office,
Yeah.
which I didn't really have before. So building this infrastructure was amazing.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. All right. And how are you planning to grow your company to take it to the next level? What's the plan?
um, there's so much that I can share, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But just going into avenues that we are not in, right? When you're trying to grow
Yeah.
and you're trying to get to 5, 10, 20 million,
Hmm.
the only way that you do that is that you have to acquire more customers, just to make it simple,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm acquiring customers from category A, well then I need to get into the rest of the alphabet to get to that 20 million, right?
Mhm.
So to answer your question, I am going to go through the rest of the alphabet, getting these other categories that Twisted Up is not in,
Yeah.
so I can acquire more customers
Mhm.
to grow my company.
That makes sense for sure. All right. So I guess what would your advice be for somebody who's brand new to business, wanting to be an entrepreneur, who has that idea but afraid and it's still stuck with their job, but afraid to take that leap of faith? What would you say to that person?
So do you listen to a guy named Gary Vee?
Yes. Oh, a big fan of Gary Vee.
So I'm a big fan of the context of how he says this,
Hmm.
because I get this question a lot, and I just feel like he answers it in the better way. You have to know yourself, right? I feel like entrepreneurship is on this thing that, oh, it's very cool to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize the work, right?
Hmm.
Understand that anything that I've ever did in life took about 2-3 years for it to pay me dividends,
Yeah.
right? Um, if you're building a company and you expect to be successful in 6 months or a year or even 2 years, 3 years, like you need a reality check. It's You are an entrepreneur, right? It's everything falls on you.
Yeah.
It's very possible now because of the internet to grow a full-fledged business and be profitable in 6 months.
Hmm.
But those are like the rare gems, right? Just like the people that make it to the NBA straight out of high school doesn't mean that everyone can do it.
Yeah.
So if you are scared to take that leap, I'd rather you have the conversation why you're scared and understand who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Because when you make the jump as an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
there's a lot more things that you're going to be facing that is way more scarier than just taking that first step. And you have to understand who you are as a person because you have to face those challenges. Because win or lose, it falls on your shoulders. So if you're growing too fast, you hiring too many people, those people that you're hiring, you have a fiduciary responsibility because they're entrusting you in a paycheck so they can take care of their family,
Yeah.
right? So again, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to understand the context at which you can scale and what you are good at and outsource the things that you are not good at. It's very, you ever seen a 30 for 30 and see all these young kids that make millions of dollars, but they're broke after 5, 6, 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the trend right now, especially with internet, but because so many people can make such quick money.
Yeah.
You say, "Oh, I'm a Facebook guru," right? Yeah. Or I'm a advertise guru, or I can teach you how to drop shit. Yeah. And I get that you found your niche, just like in 2004 to 6, anyone could have been a real estate agent and made a stupid amount of money in the state of California. But what's happening when it goes away? What are you doing with your money, right? Yeah. Are you going for longevity, or are you going for quick money? Mm-hmm. And I'm in it for longevity. So if you want it for longevity, then you have to understand that entrepreneurship, the first thing is patience. Like it's a game. It's a game of 10 years. Yeah. And you have to constantly grow and build. And just because your third year you're doing 1.2 million in sales does not mean that you can just take your foot off the gas.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. All right. You mentioned a very good point that you have to outsource what you're not good at. Yes. You outsource your weakness and focus on your strength, right? Correct. So for you, what would you say is your strength and your weakness?
I'm definitely a talker, and I'm definitely a problem solver. So that puts me in the category as I'm a good, I guess, salesman. Mm-hmm. I don't like saying that I'm a salesman because I feel like when you say that word, the definition is that you try to convince somebody to buy something. Mm-hmm. How I normally sell, it's just a conversation. You want to buy it, great. You don't, good. It's kind of like the art of selling. I read a book called The Art of Selling by Zig Ziglar. Yeah. It changed my life. And I try to focus on that context. I try to focus on building ads, figuring out how to target, figuring new groups. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what I focus on. Everything else, I outsource. So my social media, I don't run because I don't have the time to write back and do all this stuff. That's actually the guy that you met, Ace, that connected us together. Yeah. As far as my accounting, I don't run my accounting. I have a CPA. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing. If you are an entrepreneur and you're coming into a lot of money really quickly, the first thing that you need to do is hire a CPA. Because if you don't know like your profit and loss statement, you're not getting a balance sheet every single month, you don't know how money enters and how money exits your business, you're not going to keep it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. All right. Yeah, so we pretty much near the 30 minutes mark of my typical interview time. What's one last word that you would like to share with my audience?
I am living proof that the American dream does exist, right? Mm-hmm. Look up my current state for who I am, right? I'm first generation American. Yeah. My nationality, I'm African American, with everything that is going on currently in the United States with like the cops, going after this and that, and then, Donald Trump, racism, all this stuff, all that being existing, I still found a way to succeed. Yep. So I think it's very important that you understand your thoughts control your reality, right? It's 100%. If your mind lives in a complaining atmosphere where you're constantly complaining, you're constantly saying that it's not fair, that this person got this job because of A, I didn't get this job because of B, like your brain is living in a space where you don't give it the potential to create, right? But if you live in a space of positivity and you're always thinking, well, you know what, that job wasn't for me, maybe this door needs to open. Your brain is constantly thinking of ways to create, and you're giving yourself a fighting chance. Mm-hmm. So again, just look at the world that we live in. Yep. If I'm able to succeed in this current state of affairs, then everyone else has no excuse. Yep. Just change your mindset. Shift it.
Yep. It's the law of attraction, right? I think that's the quickest
100%.
Yeah, the quicker ways to change your life and your situation is to change your mindset, not anything else. Change your mindset first. Everything else will move the way, to shift to the way you want it to be. I
have you seen that? Have you seen The Secret?
What secret?
The Secret, Law of Attraction. There's actually a documentary about it.
Okay.
It's called The Secret, and then paraphrase Law of Attraction, and
Oh,
it talks about this. And to be honest, when I first saw it, again, I just thought it was like full of like crap. Like I didn't really believe it. And at 22, when I had to move back in with my mom, and I had no car,
yeah.
I was working at Jack in the Box. For me, that was like my rock bottom because I'm 22 years old. I've been told that I'm the shit, but I'm really not, right? And I'm working at Jack at 22, living at home with my mom, and I have no car. But I decided to be positive.
Yeah.
And because I was being positive, I was working the intercom. This young lady that used to go through the drive-thru every morning and get iced tea,
Yeah.
she loved my enthusiasm so much
Yeah.
that she gave me a job as a server at Fridays. And then from there, I went in my book, made a plan, right?
Yeah.
And executed it and figured out how to save $100,000 in a span of 3 years working 3 serving jobs. So again, that law of attraction, right? Being positive
Yeah.
got me a job that led me to serving, which serving led me to real estate, the mortgages, to
Yeah.
Twister. And that was a span of 9 years. Like the goal was never to create a comb at 22. The goal was just to get out of my mom's house.
Yeah. That's amazing. See, the law of attraction does work. If anyone's wondering, it works. Here's the right here.
Testify. That is 100% correct.
That's awesome. All right. So if my audience want to learn more about you, your company, or if they'd like to purchase your product, where can they find you?
So you can get it on twistitupcomb.com, TWISTITUPCOMB.com. If you go to Instagram, our handle is at twistitup. Facebook would be at twistitupcomb. And feel free to look us up or go to a Google search and type in the word Twisted Up or Noel Durity, and a bunch of information will come up on my story.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for your time today, Noel. Like, thank you for dropping the bomb of knowledge. I learned a lot from you, and I'm sure my audience will as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, David. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. All right, thank you. And see you guys next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.